Hello, and welcome back to the English Learning Podcast. I'm Jason, your host, and as always, I'm joined by my amazing co-host, Julia.
Hey everyone, we're so glad you're here. Today's episode is all about something that stops many English learners from making progress: the fear of speaking.
That's right. Many learners hesitate to speak because they're afraid of making mistakes. They think, what if I say something wrong? Or, what if people laugh at me?
But here's the truth: mistakes don't stop you from learning. Silence does. The only way to get better at speaking English is to start speaking now and improve later.
In today's episode, we're going to help you overcome this fear. We'll share practical tips, real-life success stories, and easy techniques to boost your confidence in speaking English.
So, whether you're a beginner or already learning English, this episode will give you the motivation and tools to start speaking without hesitation.
Before we dive in, make sure to subscribe to our podcast and follow us for more helpful English learning tips. And if you find today's episode useful, don't forget to share it with a friend.
All right, let's get started. First, let's talk about the biggest reason why learners hesitate to speak: fear of making mistakes.
So, Julia, let's start with the big question. Why do so many English learners hesitate to speak?
Great question, Jason. The biggest reason is fear of making mistakes. Learners think, what if I say something wrong? Or what if people laugh at me?
Exactly. And because of that fear, they stay silent instead of practicing. But here's something important. Even native speakers make mistakes.
Yes, no one speaks perfectly all the time, not even you and me, Jason.
That's so true. But I get it. Many learners feel embarrassed when they struggle to find the right words.
And sometimes they think they need to have perfect grammar and vocabulary before they can start speaking.
But that's a big mistake. Imagine a baby learning to talk. Do they wait until they can speak in perfect sentences before they start talking?
Of course not. Babies start speaking first, and then they improve over time. The same applies to learning English.
Exactly. But some learners also hesitate because they feel shy or nervous when speaking in front of others.
That's right. And if they've had a bad experience, like someone correcting them too much or making fun of their accent, they might become even more afraid to speak.
That's why today's message is so important. We want our listeners to know it's okay to make mistakes. It's part of the learning process.
Yes, and here's a question for our listeners. Do you feel nervous when speaking English? What's your biggest fear? Think about it for a moment.
And if you do feel this way, don't worry. You're not alone. In the next part of our conversation, we'll explain why speaking first actually helps you learn faster. All right, now that we've talked about why learners hesitate to speak, let's move on to the big question. Why does speaking first help you improve faster?
Great question, Jason. Many learners think they need to study more grammar, more vocabulary, and more rules before they can start speaking. But that's not true. The fastest way to improve is to speak first and correct later.
Exactly. Think about how we learned our first language. We didn't sit down and study grammar books as babies. We just started talking.
Yes. And at first, babies make tons of mistakes, but they don't care. They keep talking, and over time, they improve.
That's why speaking early is so powerful. When you speak, your brain actively processes the language instead of just memorizing words.
Right. Speaking forces you to think in English instead of translating from your native language.
Let's compare two learners. Learner A studies English for 2 years, but never speaks. Learner B starts speaking from day one, even with mistakes. Who do you think will be better at speaking after 2 years?
Obviously, learner B, because they've been practicing the skill of speaking the whole time.
That's why speaking first is like learning to ride a bike. You don't read books about bicycles for 2 years before trying. You just get on the bike and start pedaling.
Exactly. And speaking is the same. The more you do it, the faster you improve.
Here's a real-life example. I once knew a student who studied English for years but never spoke because he was afraid of mistakes. Then he moved to an English-speaking country and had no choice but to speak every day. Guess what happened?
Let me guess, he improved super fast?
Yes! Within 6 months, his speaking skills improved more than in the last 5 years of studying.
That's proof that real practice beats silent learning.
So if you're listening right now and waiting for the perfect moment to start speaking, stop waiting. Just start talking today, even if it's not perfect.
Yes, and up next, we'll give you practical tips on how to speak without fear and start improving right away.
All right, now that we know speaking first helps you improve faster, let's talk about the next challenge: how to speak without fear.
Yes, fear is the biggest barrier for many English learners, but don't worry, we're going to give you practical tips to help you feel more confident when speaking.
Let's start with the first tip. Change your mindset about mistakes. Mistakes are not failures. They are steps to success.
Absolutely. Think of mistakes as a part of learning. If you never make mistakes, it means you're not challenging yourself enough.
Exactly. And here's something interesting. When native speakers hear you make a small mistake, they don't think, "Oh no, that person is bad at English." Instead, they think, "Wow, this person is learning a new language. That's impressive."
That's so true. Most people will actually respect you more for trying to speak in English.
All right, let's move to the second tip. Speak slowly and clearly. Many learners try to speak too fast because they think it sounds more fluent.
Yes, but speaking fast can actually make you more nervous and lead to more mistakes. It's better to speak slowly and clearly so people can understand you.
Great point. And that leads to the third tip. Practice speaking with yourself.
This is one of my favorite techniques. Talk to yourself in English when you're alone. Describe what you're doing, think in English, or even have a little conversation with yourself.
That sounds funny, but it really works. The more you hear yourself speaking English, the more comfortable you become.
Exactly. And that brings us to the fourth tip. Use simple sentences at first.
Yes, many learners try to use complex grammar, and when they can't find the right words, they freeze. But remember, simple is better.
Right. Instead of saying, I have been considering going to the supermarket, but I am uncertain if I have enough time, just say, I want to go to the supermarket, but I don't have much time.
That's a great example. And once you feel comfortable, you can start adding more details and complexity to your sentences.
Yes, and for our last tip, surround yourself with English as much as possible. Listen to English podcasts, watch movies, and try to think in English every day.
Exactly. The more English you hear, the easier it will be to speak naturally.
All right, let's do a quick recap. To speak without fear: 1. Change your mindset. Mistakes help you learn. 2. Speak slowly and clearly. No need to rush. 3. Practice speaking with yourself. Train your brain to think in English. 4. Use simple sentences first. Don't overcomplicate. 5. Surround yourself with English. Immerse yourself in the language.
That's right. If you follow these tips, you'll feel more confident speaking English. And in the next part, we'll talk about how to practice speaking every day, even if you don't have a partner. Now that we've talked about how to speak without fear, let's get into some real-life techniques to practice speaking every day. These techniques work even if you don't have a speaking partner.
Yes, the key to improving your speaking skills is consistent practice. So let's go over some of the best techniques learners can use.
All right, technique number 1, the talk to yourself method.
Oh, I love this one. It's simple. Just describe what you're doing throughout the day in English. For example, if you're making coffee, say out loud, I am making coffee. I am pouring water into the cup.
Exactly. And this helps your brain think in English instead of translating from your native language.
Yes. And here's a challenge for our listeners. Try to narrate your actions in English for 5 minutes every day. You'll be surprised how much this helps.
That's a great challenge. Now, technique number 2, shadowing.
This one is powerful. All you have to do is listen to a native speaker, like in a podcast or a movie, and repeat what they say immediately after, like an echo.
Right. It helps with pronunciation, rhythm, and fluency. You can even slow down the audio to make it easier.
And don't worry if you can't understand everything. Just focus on mimicking the sounds and flow of English.
That's an important point. Now, technique number 3, join online speaking groups.
Yes, there are so many online groups where you can practice speaking with others. Apps like Tandem, Hello Talk, or even language exchange groups on Zoom are great for finding speaking partners.
Exactly. And if you're nervous, start with voice messages first, then move to live conversations.
Good idea. Now, technique number 4, use the question and answer method.
I love this one. Just ask yourself simple questions and answer them. For example, ask, "What did I do today?" and then answer in English.
Right. Or use a list of common conversation questions and practice answering them out loud.
Yes, it's like preparing for real conversations so that when you talk to someone, you already know what to say.
Great. So, to recap: 1. Talk to yourself. Describe your actions in English. 2. Shadowing. Repeat what native speakers say. 3. Join online speaking groups. Find partners to practice with. 4th. Question and answer. Practice responding to common questions.
These techniques really work if you practice them every day. And in the next part, we'll discuss how to measure your progress so you stay motivated. Now, let's talk about something really important: overcoming challenges. Learning to speak English isn't always easy, and sometimes learners face frustration, self-doubt, or slow progress.
That's right. But don't worry. Challenges are a normal part of learning, and the key is knowing how to deal with them and keep going.
One big challenge is feeling stuck, like you're not improving. This can be frustrating.
Absolutely. But remember, progress isn't always fast or visible. Sometimes you're improving even when you don't realize it. The best way to overcome this is to track your progress.
Yes, record yourself speaking every 2 weeks. When you listen back, you'll notice small improvements in pronunciation, fluency, and confidence.
That's a great tip. Another challenge is fear of speaking with others. Many learners worry about being judged.
Right. But the truth is, most people don't care if you make mistakes. They just appreciate the effort you're making to communicate.
Exactly. And here's a tip. Start small. Talk to a friend, a tutor, or even a chatbot before jumping into full conversations.
Good advice. Another challenge is forgetting words while speaking.
That happens to everyone, even native speakers. The best way to handle it is to keep talking. Use simpler words or explain your idea in another way.
Yes, never stop speaking just because you forgot a word. Keep the conversation going.
So let's summarize how to overcome challenges. 1. Track your progress. Record yourself to see improvement. 2. Don't fear judgment. People appreciate your effort. 3. Start small. Practice with a friend or chatbot first. 4. Keep talking. If you forget a word, explain it another way.
Exactly. If you push through these challenges, you'll become a more confident English speaker. All right, we've covered a lot today. Now, let's put everything into action with a simple plan that learners can start using right now.
Yes, learning to speak first and improve later only works if you take action. So here's what you should do next.
Step 1. Make speaking a daily habit. Spend at least 5 to 10 minutes every day speaking out loud, whether it's talking to yourself, shadowing, or answering questions.
Step 2. Use real-life practice techniques. Try at least one technique from today's episode, like shadowing, speaking with a partner, or describing your actions.
Step 3. Record yourself once a week. This helps you track progress and stay motivated.
Step 4. Push past the fear. Don't wait until your English is perfect. Just speak now. Improve later.
That's right. And remember, mistakes are part of learning. Every time you speak, you get better.
Absolutely. So here's a challenge for all our listeners. Start speaking English today. Even if it's just one sentence, say it out loud.
Yes, take the first step and don't stop. Keep practicing, keep speaking, and soon you'll speak English with confidence.
You got this. Thank you for joining us today. If you found this helpful, subscribe to our podcast and share this with a friend who's learning English too.
We'll see you in the next episode. Until then, keep speaking, keep learning.
Hello and welcome back to the English Learning Podcast. I'm Jason, your host, and as always, I'm joined by my amazing co-host, Julia. How are you today, Julia?
Hey, Jason, I'm doing great, and I'm really excited about today's topic. I think it's something every English learner needs to hear.
Absolutely. Today we're talking about speak smart, learn fast. If you've ever wondered how some people improve their English quickly while others struggle, this episode is for you.
Yes, we'll share practical tips on how speaking smart can actually help you learn faster. Whether you're a beginner or already on your English journey, these strategies will make a huge difference.
And here's the best part. You don't need complicated grammar or a huge vocabulary. Speaking smart is all about using the right techniques, and we're going to break it all down for you.
That's right. So stick with us till the end because we have some powerful tips that can transform the way you speak and learn English.
All right, let's dive right in. First, let's talk about why speaking smart actually matters and how it can speed up your learning process. All right, so let's start with a big question. What does it really mean to speak smart? Julia, what's your take on it?
Great question. Speaking smart means using simple, clear, and natural English. It's about choosing the right words, speaking with confidence, and avoiding overcomplicated grammar. You don't need to sound like a professor. Just be clear and effective.
Exactly. And here's the interesting part. When you focus on speaking smart, you actually learn faster. The more you practice using the right words and phrases, the more naturally English becomes a part of you.
Yes, but many learners think they need a huge vocabulary or perfect grammar before they start speaking. That's a mistake.
Totally, I always say don't focus on speaking perfectly, focus on speaking naturally. Think about it, even native speakers make mistakes, but they speak confidently. That's what really matters.
Absolutely. And speaking smart helps you avoid frustration. Many learners feel stuck because they try to translate from their native language, and that slows them down.
Right. Let's make it simple. If you want to improve fast, don't try to memorize hundreds of words. Instead, learn the most common words and phrases and use them smartly.
That's a great point, Jason. I once met a student who struggled with speaking because he was obsessed with learning difficult words. But when he started using simple phrases correctly, his confidence grew and he improved so much faster.
Yes, that's proof that speaking smart works. When you use English in a natural way, learning becomes easier and more enjoyable. So instead of trying to sound perfect, focus on sounding clear and confident.
Exactly. And speaking of confidence, let's move on to the next part, how speaking and learning are connected and why practice makes you a better speaker.
So now that we know why speaking smart is important, let's talk about something interesting. how speaking and learning are actually connected. Julia, what do you think? Does speaking help people learn faster?
Definitely. Speaking isn't just about communication, it's one of the fastest ways to learn a language. When you speak, you're forcing your brain to think in English, and that helps you remember words and phrases much better.
Exactly, it's called active learning. When you just read or listen, that's passive learning. But when you actually speak, your brain is working harder to recall and use the language correctly. That's why people who practice speaking daily improve much faster.
Yes, and there's a scientific reason behind this. When we speak, we're engaging different parts of the brain, listening, memory, and speech production, all at the same time. This strengthens your English skills more than just reading a book or watching videos passively.
That's such an important point. Let me give you an example. Imagine two students. One spends an hour every day reading grammar rules, while the other spends the same time practicing speaking with simple sentences. Who do you think will improve faster?
Oh, definitely the one speaking, because they're using the language in real situations. And it's not just about learning faster, it's also about remembering what you learn. When you speak, words stick in your mind much longer.
Yes, and this is why many people understand English but struggle to speak. They focus too much on studying and not enough on using the language.
Right. So here's a tip. Every time you learn a new word or phrase, don't just write it down. Say it out loud. Use it in a sentence. Even if you're alone, speak to yourself in English.
That's a great exercise. The more you say things, the easier it gets to remember them. And speaking of easy ways to improve, let's move on to some key strategies to help you speak smart and learn fast. Now that we understand how speaking helps us learn faster, let's talk about how to speak smart. Julia, what are some key strategies that can help our listeners improve their speaking skills quickly?
Great question, Jason. There are several simple but powerful techniques. Let's go step by step. The first one is keeping it simple. Many learners think they need big, complicated words to sound smart, but that's not true.
Exactly, smart speaking isn't about using difficult words. It's about being clear and natural. For example, instead of saying, I am experiencing difficulties comprehending this topic, just say, I don't understand this topic. Short and clear.
Yes, simple English is powerful English, and that leads to our second strategy, listen and copy. One of the fastest ways to improve your speaking is to listen to native speakers and copy their way of speaking.
That's a great tip. This method is called shadowing. You listen to a sentence, then repeat it immediately in the same way. It helps with pronunciation, fluency, and natural rhythm.
Exactly. You can do this with podcasts, YouTube videos, or even movies. Just pick a sentence, pause, and repeat. It's like learning a song. You get better the more you practice.
Love that. Now, here's the third strategy, think in English. Many learners slow down because they try to translate from their native language. That's a big mistake.
Right. Translating takes time, and sometimes the words don't match perfectly. Instead, try to think directly in English. Even for small things like when you see a car, don't think of your native word first, just say car in your head.
Great point. And here's a fun challenge. Next time you're walking outside, try naming everything in English: tree, road, bus, shop, sky. The more you train your brain to think in English, the faster you'll improve.
Yes, and that brings us to strategy number 4, use smart fillers. If you're unsure what to say, don't panic. Native speakers use fillers like, well, actually to sound more natural.
That's a great tip. Instead of freezing when you forget a word, use a filler. For example, instead of saying, I don't know, just say, well, I'm not sure, but I think it makes you sound fluent, even when you're thinking.
Exactly. And speaking of sounding natural, let's try something fun. Jason, say this sentence in a robotic way. I am happy to be here today.
I am happy to be here today.
Okay, now say it naturally, like a native speaker.
I'm happy to be here today.
See the difference? Smart speaking is all about sounding natural, not just saying words, but saying them with the right rhythm.
Yeah, so let's quickly recap. Keep it simple. Listen and copy, think in English, and use smart fillers. These small changes will help you speak smarter and learn faster.
That's right. And next, we'll give you some practical tips to speed up your learning even more, so stay with us.
All right, now that we've covered smart speaking strategies, let's talk about something just as important, how to learn English faster. Julia, what are some practical tips that can help our listeners speed up their learning?
Great question, Jason. The first tip is immerse yourself in English daily. Learning doesn't just happen in a classroom. The more English you see, hear, and use, the faster you'll improve.
That's a great point. And immersion doesn't mean moving to an English-speaking country. You can create an English world around you, change your phone settings to English, follow English social media pages, and watch videos in English.
Yes, even small changes help. For example, instead of watching movies with subtitles in your language, switch to English subtitles. It trains your brain to think in English.
Exactly. Now, the second tip, speak out loud every day. Many learners are shy about speaking, but the more you practice, the easier it gets.
Right, and if you don't have a speaking partner, no problem. Talk to yourself in English. Describe what you're doing, like, now I am making coffee, or I need to buy groceries today. It may feel funny at first, but it really works.
That's a fantastic tip. And here's the third one. Learn in short, focus sessions. Instead of studying for hours, break it into 20-minute practice sessions. Short and consistent learning is more effective than long, exhausting sessions.
Yes. Plus, when you study in small chunks, your brain remembers information better. You can learn vocabulary in the morning, listen to a podcast in the afternoon, and practice speaking at night. Small steps lead to big results.
Love that. And here's one final tip. Don't be afraid to make mistakes. Mistakes mean you're learning. Every time you say something wrong, you're getting closer to saying it right.
Exactly. Even native speakers make mistakes. The key is to keep going and keep speaking. The more you practice, the more confident you'll become.
So let's quickly review. Immerse yourself in English. Speak out loud every day. Study in short sessions. And don't fear mistakes. Follow these tips, and you'll learn English faster than ever.
That's right. And next, let's talk about one of the biggest challenges learners face: how to stay consistent and keep improving over time.
Now we've talked about how to learn fast. But what about the things that slow us down? Many English learners make common mistakes that stop their progress. Julia, what's one of the biggest mistakes?
One big mistake is being afraid to speak. Many learners wait until they feel ready before they start speaking. But guess what? If you wait too long, you'll never feel ready.
That's so true. You don't have to speak perfect English. Just speak. Even if you make mistakes, it's better than staying silent.
Exactly. And that brings us to another mistake: focusing too much on grammar. Of course, grammar is important, but if you're always thinking about rules while speaking, you'll hesitate and sound unnatural.
Right? Instead of worrying about every little mistake, focus on communicating your message. Even native speakers don't always use perfect grammar in conversations.
Yes. And here's another mistake: learning too many words at once. Some learners try to memorize hundreds of words, but they never use them. It's better to learn fewer words and actually practice using them.
Great point. Learning 5 words and using them every day is better than learning 50 words and forgetting them the next day.
So, let's review. The biggest mistakes are being afraid to speak, focusing too much on grammar, and memorizing too many words without practice. If you avoid these mistakes, your English will improve much faster.
Absolutely. And coming up next, we'll give you a step-by-step action plan to apply everything you've learned today. So stay with us. All right, before we wrap up, we have a fun challenge for you. Learning English should be exciting. So Julia and I have come up with a little game to help you practice speaking smart and learning fast.
Yes. Here's how it works. We'll give you a short sentence in basic English, and your job is to say it in a smarter, more natural way out loud. Are you ready?
Great, here's the first one. Instead of saying, I am feeling very tired, how can you say it in a shorter, more natural way?
One good way is to say I'm exhausted or I'm so tired. See? Short, natural, and smart.
Awesome. Now try this one. Instead of saying, I do not understand this word, what's a smart way to say it?
Did you say I don't get it or what does this mean? If yes, great job.
Nice work. So here's your challenge for today. Pick 3 simple sentences you often use in English and try to say them in a smarter, shorter, and more natural way. Practice them out loud.
Yes, and if you want, share your sentences in the comments. We'd love to see your creative answers.
All right, coming up next, we'll wrap up everything we've learned today with a simple action plan. Don't go anywhere. Wow, what a great conversation today, Julia. We covered a lot: how to speak smart, learn fast, avoid common mistakes, and even had a fun challenge for our listeners.
Absolutely, Jason. And remember, learning English is a journey. The key is to keep practicing, stay confident, and have fun while improving.
That's right. Now here's your action plan. 1. Practice speaking smart. Use simple, natural phrases instead of long, complicated sentences. 2. Learn fast by immersing yourself in English daily. Listen, speak, and think in English as much as possible. 3. Avoid common mistakes. Don't be afraid to speak. Don't overthink grammar, and focus on using words, not just memorizing them. 4. Take on today's challenge. Transform basic sentences into smarter, more natural English.
And most importantly, take action today. Don't just listen to this podcast. Go out and practice what you learned.
Yes, and if you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our podcast. Leave a comment with your thoughts or any questions. You never know, we might feature your question in our next episode.
That's right. Keep practicing, stay confident, and we'll see you next time.
Until then, keep learning, keep growing, and speak smart. Bye for now.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the English Learning Podcast, the place where you learn to speak English naturally and confidently. I'm your host, Jason.
And I'm Julia, your co-host. We're so happy you're joining us today for another fun and helpful conversation.
In today's episode, we're going to talk about something very important. Speak the way you think. Have you ever had a great idea in your mind, but when you tried to say it in English, it just didn't come out right?
Oh yes, I've heard that from so many learners. You think one thing, but then you struggle to say it in English. Maybe you translate from your first language, or you pause a lot, or your sentence just sounds strange.
Exactly. And that's what we want to help you with today. This episode is all about learning to speak naturally by connecting your thoughts directly to English, without always translating in your head.
We'll talk about why this happens, how to fix it, and we'll even share some easy tips and daily practices that can help you train your brain to think in English.
Plus, we'll do a short role play and give you a fun challenge at the end. So make sure you stay with us all the way to the finish.
This episode is perfect for you if you want to speak English more fluently, more confidently, and more naturally, just like how you think in your own language.
All right, let's get started. First, let's talk about why people struggle to speak the way they think. So, Julia, let's begin with the big question. Why do so many English learners struggle to speak the way they think?
That's such a good question, Jason. One of the main reasons is that most learners think in their first language and then try to translate into English. But translation takes time, and it doesn't always work perfectly.
Exactly. And when you try to translate in your head, your brain gets confused. You start thinking, wait, how do I say this in English? And by the time you find the words, the moment is gone.
Yes, and another reason is fear of making mistakes. Many learners think, if I say something wrong, people will laugh at me, or what if I use the wrong word? So they hesitate.
Right. And that hesitation creates a pause between the thought and the speech. You know what you want to say, but you don't say it because you're scared or unsure.
That's so common, especially in beginners. And sometimes learners also focus too much on grammar. They want every sentence to be perfect, but language is not about perfection. It's about communication.
Yes, we always say this. Communication is more important than perfection. Native speakers make mistakes too, and that's okay.
Another reason people struggle is because they haven't trained their brain to think in English. Speaking is a skill. If you only read or memorize, but never practice forming your own thoughts in English, it's hard to speak freely.
I agree. And here's a good example. Think about how a child learns their first language. They don't learn grammar rules first. They just listen, copy, speak, and repeat. That's natural learning.
Yes, so if you're always learning English from books, but never thinking in English in your mind, then when it's time to speak, it feels uncomfortable.
So to sum up, there are a few big reasons. Translating from your first language, fear of making mistakes, focusing too much on grammar, not practicing thinking in English.
And the good news is, you can fix all of these with the right mindset and some simple daily habits.
That's what we're going to talk about next. So let's move on to the next part. How thinking in English helps you speak better. All right, now that we understand the problems, let's talk about the solution. Thinking in English. Julia, why is this so powerful?
Thinking in English is a game changer, Jason. When you train your brain to think directly in English, you remove the middle step of translation. That means your thoughts can flow more naturally into speech, just like a native speaker.
Yes, and that helps you speak faster and more fluently. You don't get stuck searching for words in your first language and then trying to convert them into English. Your brain is already in English mode.
Exactly. And it also makes your sentences more natural and clear. You begin to use real English patterns instead of direct translations, which often sounds strange or unnatural.
That's a great point. Like when someone says, "I very like it," that's probably a direct translation. But if you're thinking in English, you're more likely to say, "I really like it," because that's how English speakers usually talk.
Yes, and another benefit is confidence. When you think in English, your brain gets used to the language. You feel more comfortable, and you're less afraid to speak. It's like building a habit.
And you also start to notice common phrases, idioms, and expressions. The more you think in English, the more your vocabulary grows naturally, because you're using it in your thoughts every day.
It's true. Even simple things like thinking, "What should I cook today?" or "I need to clean my room." If you say these in English in your mind, you're practicing.
So, to sum it up, thinking in English helps you speak better because you speak faster with less hesitation. Your sentences sound more natural. You feel more confident. You improve vocabulary and fluency over time.
And the best part? You can start doing this anytime, no special class, no teacher, no cost. You just start thinking in English, a little at a time.
Up next, we're going to talk about the common blocks that stop people from thinking and speaking freely in English. Don't go anywhere. So now, let's talk about something really important. What are the common blocks that stop people from speaking the way they think?
Good question, Jason. One of the biggest blocks is what we call mental translation. You think in your first language and then try to change it into English word by word. That slows you down and makes speaking stressful.
Yes, it's like your brain is doing double work. First, it builds the sentence in your native language, and then it tries to find the English words. But language doesn't always match word for word, right?
Exactly. That's why sometimes the translation sounds strange. Another big block is fear. Fear of being judged, fear of making mistakes, fear of not being understood. All these fears create pressure.
And that pressure causes people to freeze. You want to speak, but your mind goes blank. You second-guess yourself, is this correct? What if I sound silly? And then, nothing comes out.
Totally. And here's another block. Lack of vocabulary. Sometimes you know what you want to say, but you don't know the English word for it. So you stop in the middle of your sentence and feel stuck.
Right. And instead of using a simple word or changing the sentence, you just give up. But the truth is, you don't need big words. You can say almost anything using simple vocabulary if you keep your ideas clear.
That's so true. One more block is overthinking grammar. Some learners stop speaking because they're thinking, is this past tense? Do I need have or had here? And that creates confusion.
Yes, and while grammar is important, it shouldn't stop you from expressing your thoughts. It's better to say something simple and clear than to say nothing at all.
So, let's quickly list the common blocks. Mental translation, fear of mistakes, limited vocabulary, overthinking, grammar.
And all of these blocks can be broken with practice, confidence, and the right mindset. And guess what? We're going to show you how in the next part.
Yes! Coming up next, simple daily practices to help you think in English and speak naturally.
All right, so we've talked about the problems, and now it's time for solutions. Let's share some simple daily practices that can help our listeners train their minds to think in English.
Yes, and the best part is, you don't need a textbook or a teacher for these. You just need a little time and a willingness to practice every day.
Exactly. So here's the first practice. 1. Describe your day in English. From the moment you wake up, try to describe what you're doing in simple English. For example, I am brushing my teeth, I'm making tea, I'm going to work.
Yes, and you can do this in your mind. No need to say it out loud if you don't want to. It's about creating a habit of thinking in English, step by step.
Here's the second one. 2. Talk to yourself. It might sound funny, but it works. You can look in the mirror and say, "What did I do today?" Or, "How do I feel right now?" It helps you think and speak at the same time.
Absolutely. You can even narrate what you see around you. The sky is blue, there's a dog running, that man is talking on the phone. These little thoughts build fluency.
Number 3. 3. Use English in your routine. Set your phone or apps to English. Watch short English videos, listen to podcasts, or even think in English while cooking or walking. The more you surround yourself with the language, the more natural it becomes.
That's so true. Here's another one I love. 4. Write short thoughts or journal entries in English. Just a few sentences a day. For example, today was a good day. I studied for 1 hour. I feel proud of myself. You'll start thinking directly in English without translation.
I love that. And one more practice. This is a powerful one. Practice visual thinking. Look at a photo, an object, or even a scene outside your window, and describe it in English. What do you see? What's happening? What might happen next?
Yes, it activates your brain and builds a connection between what you see, what you think, and how you speak, all in English.
So just to recap, here are the 5 simple practices. Describe your day in English. Talk to yourself. Use English in your daily routine. Write short thoughts in English. Use visual thinking with photos or real life.
And don't worry if you make mistakes. The goal is to think and speak freely, not perfectly.
Exactly. Remember, fluency comes from daily use. not just from memorizing rules.
Coming up next, we'll talk about how to build confidence and stop feeling shy when speaking English.
Now it's time for one of our favorite parts, role play practice. This is where we help you use your English in a real situation without translation.
In a Stitnikel Proficient court, one seems of Embiana on the former lining grouping lines and on the internadicted verhens of a pound and remanding out loud.
All right, Julia, let's do a quick and simple role play. The setting is meeting a new friend at a coffee shop. I'll play the new friend, and you'll be the learner. Role play, meeting someone new. Jason, hi there. Is this seat taken?
No, it's free. You can sit here.
Thanks. I'm Jason, by the way. What's your name?
Nice to meet you, Jason. I'm Julia.
Nice to meet you too, Julia. So do you come here often?
Yes, I love this place. It's quiet and the coffee is really good.
Totally agree. What do you usually order?
A latte, usually, and sometimes a muffin if I'm hungry. Okay, listeners, now it's your turn. Let's do it again, but this time you answer. Jason will ask the questions, and you try to respond in your own words. Don't overthink, just speak naturally. Listener practice round?
Hi. Is this seat taken? Nice. I'm Jason. What's your name? Good to meet you. Do you come here often? Cool. What do you usually order? Sounds tasty.
Great job. Even if your answers were simple, that's perfect. This kind of practice helps you get used to forming thoughts in English, on the spot.
Yes, and the key is don't translate. Just respond with what comes naturally, even if it's not perfect.
And remember, you can do these mini role plays every day, in your mind, with a friend, or even by recording yourself.
Next up, we're going to talk about how to use real-life situations to practice speaking the way you think. Stick around. All right, welcome back. In this part of the episode, let's talk about something a lot of English learners struggle with: overthinking while speaking.
Yes. Overthinking is that voice in your head that says, what if I say it wrong? Or, is this grammar correct? Or, do I sound strange?
Exactly. And while you're thinking all that, the moment to speak passes, or you freeze up.
So today, we'll give you 5 simple tips to help you stop overthinking and start speaking more freely. 1. Focus on the message, not the mistake.
Your goal is to communicate your idea, not to be perfect. So instead of worrying about grammar, ask yourself, is my listener understanding me?
Yes. Communication is the goal, not perfection. Mistakes are normal, even native speakers make them. Tip 2. Don't pause too long to find the perfect word.
If a word doesn't come to mind, use a simple word or describe it. For example, instead of frustrated, you can say, I feel a little angry and tired.
It keeps the conversation flowing and trains your brain to find new ways to speak. Tip 3. Practice speaking without editing. Try a 1-minute talk each day. Pick a topic and speak without stopping or correcting yourself. Just go.
That builds fluency fast. It helps you get used to thinking and speaking at the same time. Tip 4. Breathe and slow down. Sometimes we overthink because we're nervous. So, pause, take a breath, and speak slowly. It's not a race.
Right. Speaking slowly gives your brain time to organize your thoughts and your listener time to understand. Tip 5. Use positive self-talk. Instead of saying, I can't speak well, say I'm improving every day. Your mindset matters a lot.
Yes, be your own coach, not your critic. The more confident you feel, the less you overthink.
So, just to recap, here are the 5 tips to stop overthinking while speaking. Focus on the message, not the mistake. Don't wait for the perfect word. Practice 1-minute talks. Slow down and breathe. Use positive self-talk.
Each of these tips helps train your brain to speak the way you think, clearly and confidently.
Up next, we'll show you how to turn your daily environment into an English-speaking space, even if you're not in an English-speaking country.
Welcome back. Now, Julia, I think one of the best ways to learn is through stories. Real stories about people who have learned to speak the way they think in English. Do you have any examples to share?
Absolutely, Jason. I love hearing real experiences because they show us it's possible. Here's one I really like. There's a student named Sarah. She used to translate everything from her native language to English. Speaking was slow and stressful, but she started practicing thinking directly in English by describing her daily activities and talking to herself.
That sounds familiar. What changed for Sarah?
Within a few months, Sarah noticed she could speak more smoothly. She stopped pausing so much and her confidence grew. The cool part? She didn't worry about perfect grammar anymore. She focused on sharing her ideas.
That's inspiring. I have a story too. I once met a guy named Ahmed who was afraid to speak English in front of others because he thought his accent was wrong. But Ahmed started role-playing conversations alone, just like we do here. Over time, his fear lessened. He began speaking freely, and guess what? People loved talking with him. Not because his English was perfect, but because he was confident and clear.
Exactly, Jason. These stories show that fluency comes from practice and mindset, not from perfection.
So, listeners, if you're struggling, remember Sarah and Ahmed. Start small, practice daily, and trust the process. Speaking the way you think is a journey.
And every step you take brings you closer to speaking English naturally and confidently.
Next up, we'll talk about how to keep this momentum going and make English thinking a lifelong habit. All right, listeners, it's challenge time. Now that we've shared tips, stories, and practice ideas, it's your turn to try speaking the way you think.
Yes. For the next 3 days, pick one simple practice we talked about today, like describing your day in English, talking to yourself, or doing a 1-minute talk, and do it every day.
It doesn't have to be perfect or long. Even just a few sentences count. The goal is to build your thinking in English habit.
And here's a little bonus tip. Record yourself if you can. Listening back helps you notice your progress and gives you confidence.
We'd love to hear how it goes. Share your experience with us in the comments or on social media. Let's keep the conversation going.
Remember, speaking the way you think is a skill, and like any skill, it gets better with practice.
So, take the challenge, and we'll see you in the next episode. We've covered a lot today. Let's quickly recap some of the most important points from this episode.
Sure. First, speaking the way you think means training your brain to use English directly, not translating from your native language.
We talked about common blocks like overthinking and how they slow you down.
And we shared simple daily practices like role-playing, thinking in English, and speaking without editing that help you become more fluent.
Plus, we gave you tips to stop overthinking, real-life stories to inspire you, and a fun listener challenge to practice on your own.
Remember, speaking fluently takes time and practice, so be patient and keep going.
That's it for today's episode. Thanks for joining us on this journey to speak the way you think.
See you next time on the English Learning Podcast.